President.
Senator from Vermont.
Mr. President, we have had a dismal history recently with the United States Supreme Court. My view is totally failed the American people. In the name of states' rights, the Supreme Court has taken away freedom and caused distress and uncertainty for women and individuals across the country. It's outrageous that because of this court and this decision, people have fewer rights today than they did 50 years ago. And of course, I refer to the Dobbs decision, which to its everlasting shame is a decision that the Supreme Court, for its infamy, took away a constitutional right. And it should be noted that in a post-Dobbs world, women are leaning on contraceptive care more and doctors see more demand. That now is threatened. And anyone who read that Dobbs decision and the Thomas concurrence in that decision, he laid it out where he at least intends to go. Now, there seems to be some confusion among my colleagues across the aisle about what this bill is and how important reproductive health care is. And I thank the President for his leadership on this with our colleague from Hawaii. It's very important, and everyone needs access, both to whatever birth control options make the most sense for them and to whatever preventive health care makes sense to them. Contraceptives can help prevent and treat medical conditions. And this is about ensuring every person in every zip code has access to the birth control that they need if they need it. This is a right of women and every individual to make decisions about their bodies and their futures. Politicians should not be involved. The court shouldn't even be intimating it is threatening to take that away, and this legislation is needed to guarantee they won't. After Roe was overturned in June 2022, Vermont voters went to the polls. They took their own liberty into their own hands, not being able to rely on the United States Supreme Court to protect it. And in Article 22 of the Vermont Constitution, a new amendment, it permanently protected reproductive liberties. It said that an individual's right to personal reproductive autonomy is central to the liberty and dignity to determine one's own life course and shall not be denied or infringed unless justified by a compelling state interest achieved by the least restrictive means. This would stop future anti-choice legislation from advancing in our state of Vermont. We enacted comprehensive legislation in 2019 in Vermont under a Republican governor that would, quote, recognize as a fundamental right the freedom of reproductive choice and prohibit public entities from interfering with or restricting the right of an individual to terminate the individual's pregnancy. And as far back as 1972, the Vermont Supreme Court became the fourth state in the nation to legalize abortion. Vermont has a long history of protecting reproductive rights and standing up for the rights of women. Also, Mr. President, contraception is supported by the American people. It's widely used. Women and people who can get pregnant need it and use it. 9 of 10 voters want it to be legal, and 3 out of 4 want it to have easier access. 78% said they see it as basic health care for women, and 72% are thankful it allows them to manage several health conditions. So, Mr. President, it is absolutely essential that in the face of the United States Supreme Court, what it did to deprive women of their own right to choose by reversing the Roe v. Wade decision that was so enshrined in our law, in part of our society for 50 years, that we in the Senate take all action possible to guarantee that women's rights will be protected. Mr. President, I yield back.